What's up, Raider Nation? It is game day. Welcome to For Life, our Raider story. This is our take with Spicy Raider Girl and my boy Omar. Let's break it down. What's good, Raider Nation? It is game day. We are here. The Raiders are sitting in the hunt.
It's game day, and we are in the hunt.
We are right there in the hunt. The drinking game alert. If you are drinking, I'm having my coffee and Woodson whiskey this morning. Win out or go home. Every time we say, you know what to do because it's game day. You can't start a game day without a little coffee and whiskey, right, Omar?
Oh my goodness! The morning wood definitely gotta have a Kraken.
That's what she said.
And I'm excited about this game day. I mean, I am. Playing the Vikings. The Vikings are in a hunt. They're what, 6-6, I believe. They're in the hunt. They're starting Josh Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs has been a career backup. He's been hot this season, but as of late, he threw 4 picks in a game. So it's very possible for our defense to have their way with him. We know Max Crosby has the knee, but he's playing.
He's
playing. What I mean? I think his words was, if I'm breathing, I'm playing.
I love that mentality.
I mean, I think AP pointed that out, and he basically put it to the team. It's unfair if we're not matching this guy's effort. I mean, not even just to the team, I believe. I think he put it to the whole organization that we have to match this man's energy, his effort. And I thought that was really cool. You want to celebrate your great players, and you want to motivate everyone else. And of course, we know Max is trying to do that. He has just a great attitude. He seems like a great person. So that was really good to hear. It was also really good to hear in the news that Coach AP brought in Tom Coughlin, who was his former head coach with the Giants. Coughlin won 2 Super Bowls. He also brought in Marvin Lewis, who he coached with Arizona State. Marvin Lewis was head coach of the Bengals back in the Ocho Cinco days. And then he also brought in Adam Gase, who has worked with our rookie offensive coordinator, Hardegree. And he brought these guys in to coach the coach. And I thought that was great. If anyone thinks about working for a manager or anything you think about in a work situation, and you see how development, of course, is going to be a part of your work, and then to also see your manager working on his development as well, that not only does he want you guys to get better, but he also is trying to get better himself. And then you have that environment going on where every week we're trying to improve on something. I just thought it was awesome to bring in those 3 former head coaches. Like I say, 2 of them specifically working with AP, the other one working with Hardegree. And I hope we see that translate today in the game against the Vikings, because if you're not only asking people to do something, it's easy to tell people what to do, but real leaders are right there in front towing that rope with you, and they're saying, hey, follow me. And I love that. To read that story, I'm sold. I want AP to be hands down. You're the head coach going into 2024, just because if you're going to we know coaches, they work long hours. We've heard the stories. So, like I say, to set that kind of example, we knew what kind of player AP was. You see what kind of person he is. You see the kind of motivational leader he is. And now, if you add in, especially what Coughlin can give him, which is, how that structure, how to get the best out of people, at least in the X's and O's way, I think that's all AP needs. You know what I mean? And to bring in some of those guys to help him out now, he's going for it. That's letting me know, hey, I got this opportunity and I'm going to give it everything I got. I'm calling everybody I know to help me out and to help this team win now. So I thought that was great, and I hope we see it today.
I will say this right away to your statement. You want him to be the coach moving forward because you're seeing the things he's doing. I think what he's saying is, I want to be the coach moving forward, and I'm doing these things to improve my game, to make me a better coach because I want this job. That's what this is telling me. This is not a short, in my opinion, you don't do things like that short term to write out 5 games.
Right.
He wants to end this season with a winning record, and he wants to potentially keep his job moving forward. That's what I'm hearing by this news. And not only that, it takes a lot of humility, if you will, to say, you know what? It's okay to sharpen my skill set, to get some consulting, to bring somebody in. I think that says a lot as well. That it's a group effort that's going to make everybody better. And it's not like, he has this huge ego where he's like, oh, I got this, blah, 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 blah. That to me says a lot as well about the man he is, his character. And it's really saying what he's wanting for himself, for this team moving forward. And I'm sure the GM had something to do with this decision. I'm sure it was a whole decision-making process. And I love that they're kind of getting together and saying, hey, what can we do to make this team better? And thinking outside the box, not like X's and O's, how can we make play calling better, things like that. But who could we bring in as outside resources to sharpen the tools that he already has? For me, I think that's great.
I do too. I mean, you always, in any profession, we're always trying to improve. I mean, I go to work, and guess what? A part of my job is I'm constantly training on something.
Right.
And you hear that with players. These guys on the off season, what do they go do? They go to these training camps and things like that. 10 years in, they're still going to them. They're, constantly trying to sharpen their skills. So to bring that in at the head coach level, and like I say, I think that creates an incredible work environment.
And it speaks to what you were saying about AP is saying, let's get to Mad Max's dedication to this, to what we're trying to do. Yep. And he saying is one thing, he's actually doing it. Yep. To me, this is setting an example. Players, you come to training camp every day, you come to practice every day, you show up on game day. Well, what are we doing outside of that to make sure our games are tight, especially with this win out or go home for the rest of the season? What can we do to really show up on a daily? And to me, this is a great example of that.
It is. I really think so. And like I say, when he goes into that meeting room with Mark Davis at the end of the season, he's not only going to go with what I'm going to do, he'll also have, look what I've been doing.
Right.
And have that, which, like I say, is going to speak volumes for him. Like I said, we already know the intangibles he have, the things that you can't learn, which is all that, that leadership that he has. So this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to these last 5 games. And I'm also looking forward to seeing our quarterback. I'm looking forward to seeing O'Connell. It's unfortunate, though, today he's not going to have Colton Miller as his left tackle. And I think that's going to make it a lot harder on this kid. But, everything that people say about him, that this is not going to phase him. I mean, it's going to phase him during the game, but mentally, it's not going to phase him. It seems like he's got a really good head on his shoulder from what and these are from veteran players, your Max Crosby's, who was saying that about this kid. So like I said, I'm really looking forward to that because, hey, I know that our head coach has a relationship with the guy who just won the Heisman. And I saw all the rumors brewing even before Jayden won the Heisman that he could be a potential pick for the Raiders because of that existing relationship that these two guys had at Arizona State before he transferred to LSU. But what happens if O'Connell does really well in these next 5 games? Do we still go after something like that? I don't know. I hope O'Connell does well. I hope we can check the box for quarterback, me personally. But
at the end of the day, whoever's out there, we want to ball out. So, we hope he does well. But I'm still thinking you got to keep the options open for a legit long-term quarterback.
And trust me, Jayden, if we have a chance to get him, would be hard to pass. The kid has a really good record. He's another guy that has been, from everything I'd heard about Jayden, that he's always been working on his game very hard worker, smart kid, good quarterback. So that would be hard, to pass if they feel there's a hole big enough to use our first round pick and maybe some other draft capital move up to get him. So
I was going to say that. Not only would I not pass on an opportunity like that, I would make moves to get an opportunity like that.
We would have to. I think with him winning the Heisman, we would have to give up some draft capital to move up to get him,
And I think honestly, listen, you never know. Drafts are uncertain.
Yeah, he could drop. That would be nice, but go for it. We'll see. And I think, too, these last 5 games starting today, there's another gentleman I know I'm going to be keeping my eye on because we spent a first-round pick on Mr. Tyree, Mm-hmm. And I had read that we were thinking about, kicking him over into defensive tackle, kicking him in the middle. And maybe we have, and I missed it, because I don't recall seeing him in the middle. I don't recall really seeing him at all, which is not good. So I am keeping an eye on him right now. We would definitely love for him to show up today against the Vikings. The Vikings are hungry. But like I say, we can make Josh Dobbs make mistakes, and that can work definitely in our favor. Our defense have been stepping up, so I'm expecting them to really help us win the game. Because like I say, without Colton Miller, our line was already showing a few kinks, and without our starting left tackle, it is going to make it a little bit harder on O'Connell. But I do think he, like I say, I don't have any thoughts that is going to, hurt his game too bad. He's been showing us that he has learned how to take care of the ball a little bit better, but we do know there's some reads and throws out there that that he has missed. And then we've also seen some really good throws and catches out of him. So let's just hope.
Well, you seem a little less concerned about missing Colton Miller than I. I actually think it's a huge deal, and I'm concerned about the situation, to be honest. I mean, he's huge for the Raiders, and and O'Connell doesn't really move that well, and if they're going to be able to get a lot of pressure and disturb him, I think especially early on, I think it's going to. Then you said it's not mental. Then I think it kind of turns into a mental thing. So we'll see how it starts, but yeah, it for me, you seem cool about it. When I saw that a couple of days ago, I was like nervous about it, to be honest.
Well, like I say, it's why I brought it up, but I'm also looking at the Vikings as well. This is not us going up against the Chargers. This is not us going up with a team that has a premier pass rusher, at least one that I can think of. Not to say that there's no good players on the Vikings. That's not what I'm saying. It's just not that guy that, that I feel that we would definitely need. You need your starters every game against any team in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. I just think we have some other ways to beat them, and it's going to start with our defense. I think that is going to be the keys to success. And then, seeing O'Connell poised, seeing him, hey, don't hold the ball, get rid of it if you are under duress, so you're not taking those sacks and things like that. And of course, his first game out, we all remember those sacks led to fumbles, and it went from bad to worse quickly. So seeing him avoid that, though, like I say, using that situation to see, okay, let's see, because injuries happen, and you see how your quarterback holds up. Like I say, I think this is going to give us a good idea. Trust me, I'm sure Champ is evaluating these, big time on what O'Connell does, because what he does can dictate our whole draft. As me and you were saying, if they don't feel he's the quarterback of the future, then yes, spend some capital and go get your guy. And that's why I say it's going to be very important these last 5 games, what O'Connell does, because they're going to have to make a decision based on that.
Yeah, definitely. What's up, people in the chat? What's up, Anthony Estrada? Nice to have you here. Jay Jackson, of course, always. Raider Twan, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. What's good, my friend? And remember, like that torch, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. So this is a win out or go home situation, or just win and go home today, because there are a lot of playoff games or playoff implications in these games that are today, right? We got the Browns and the Jags on right now. You've got the Bills and the Chiefs, the Broncos and the Chargers meeting up. and they're all kind of right there on the bubble. They're all the teams are right there on the bubble with the Browns, the Bills, the Chargers, the Broncos, and of course the Raiders. So for me, this is how I kind of look at it. And I know people are probably going to disagree with this, but I always, people don't like, backing into the playoffs or whatever. But listen, there's only like 3 additional teams that get into the playoffs that don't win. So pretty much everyone backs in. If you're not winning your division, you're backing in. So however we have to get it done, rooting for other teams to lose. And for me, I try to look at the best situation when I'm watching some of these other games. Like we know we all hate the Chiefs, but honestly, at this point, I think it's better if they win because they're going to end up winning the division. And we need teams like the Bills to fall down, to get lower, so the Raiders can move up. So I'm like more pragmatic in thinking about who I want to win and lose when it comes down to these last 5 games. And can the Raiders really make a push for the playoffs? Are you in that mindset, Omar? Or are you like, F the Chiefs, they always have to lose? Yeah, and the Raiders are going to win the division, and that's it.
Oh yeah, you know me. I'm a little cray-cray. I want Kansas City to lose out. I want us to win out, and then take a look at how that looks. If Kansas City lost all of the rest of their games and we won ours, including a rematch with them, that would be great. I do want. It
would be great, but the probability of that happening is slim. I'm looking at probability. I'm looking on just how are we still playing when the playoffs arrive? You know what I mean?
But if the Chiefs lose and we do win out, we got a chance. Even if they just lose today and then lose to us when they play us again, we have a chance. I get what you're saying with all the other factors. I think a lot of that sets with a lot of the other AFC divisions. And then how well we do. We got to beat the Broncos again. We got to beat the Chargers. We need to beat Kansas City. So we need to win in our division, first and foremost. And that's what I want to see us do. And then see where the rest of the chips fall. That, you know what I mean? Right now, the Browns, their quarterback is, I don't have a lot of high hopes for the Browns just because of who their starting quarterback is gone. Their backup is gone. They just grabbed a guy off the street.
And they're killing it right now. They're up 21-7.
I'll just say, they got a great defense and things in. You know what? Jacksonville, they play well, but look at this. Flacco beating you, that's crazy. But we know it can happen.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, for me, I would rather have the Broncos lose and the Chargers win.
Okay.
I would rather have.
I can agree with that one because we need Chargers got a worse record. I definitely agree with you on there.
All right, and then of course the Raiders would have to beat the Chargers.
And we got to beat them both.
Of course. Yeah. More so the Chargers if it comes down to it because of the loss already. We have the win against the Broncos. Then for me, if we already discussed this, but if we're looking for the Chiefs Bills, I'm actually hoping that the Chiefs win because I think the Chiefs are just going to run away with it. That brings the Bills closer. And then, in terms of the Browns, hopefully the Jags can pull that off. But that's kind of where I am because at the end of the day, if the Raiders, the Chargers, the Bills can all have the same record, I think that's more beneficial.
Sure.
That's me personally.
Sure. I just want to see us win out. I look at the way Kansas City has been up and down. Like they seem to have played their best game against us, and then everyone else gets the B, this B flavor. And I'm like, whoa, when can we have to bring that out of Kansas City when we play them? Because we look at it. We beat Green Bay, and then Green Bay beats Kansas City.
Broncos also. Same with the Broncos.
We get beat down by Buffalo, and Buffalo is what, 6-6 now?
Right.
Any given Sunday. And like I said, we just need to win out. There is a recipe to beat every team we're facing, and that the Raiders can do it. I know they can. So we just got to play good football. Every man's got to win their battles in the trenches out there. So, and we definitely got a chance to beat the Vikings today. We have really
have to. This is one of those, to me, make or break game. We talk about AP and what he's trying to do to keep his job and to sharpen his skill set. But to me, this is one of those games where The Vikings are a middle road team, just kind of like the Raiders are. But so far, AP's 2-2. He's only the 2 losses come from losing teams with losing records. The 2 wins come with teams with losing records. The 2 losses come with teams with winning records. So this is kind of, to me, this is like, okay, what can you, now you're playing a team, you have about the same record. Let's get over this hump. Let's start a winning streak. Let's get to 3-2 under AP, and then let's get some momentum. So I think this game is going to be telling in a lot of different ways. So I think it's a 40.5 is what we're looking at here. What do you think the over under for today is at 40.5?
Oh wow. As a person that does not gamble, I couldn't even begin to tell you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that because
here's the thing.
I'm a total non-gambler, so I don't know the odds and all.
It's not really even about gambling per se. I don't think it's about what we think the score will be. That's how I look at it. So the Raiders only score on average 16 to 17 points per game. They've only scored over 20 points twice. Right. The Vikings are right there at 20. So if you combine the averages, they're sitting right there at 36 points, roughly. So for me, I want to say it's under, because I'm not sure that the Raiders can get over that 20 threshold that they've struggled so hard to do. Therefore, they'll have to keep the Vikings under 20 as well to win. So I think they'll win. I think unless the Raiders really ball out, I see it being a low-scoring game, 21-17, something in and around there. That's my prediction.
I can definitely agree that I think it would be, under 40 points total. And our defense would have, our defense got to play the game. Even though we lost against the Dolphins, I thought that was one of the best defensive games we played to keep a team like that with a lower score total than their average. And we got to play that way. Like I say, Dobbs can give up the ball, and we have to take advantage of that. So I agree with you. I'm there with you.
And I want to see some consistency. I used to always say, oh, I got to watch it. Let's see how the Raiders start. See how the Raiders start. It could be telling, but that's not the case with the Raiders. Even when they start out super strong, which they tend to, for whatever reason, they can't keep that momentum. They can't make the adjustments that they need. So it's like we're always just like biting our nails on pins and needles, seeing what's going to happen. And I think we'll really kind of know going into the half, like how is this like working out? How are we doing on offense with Colton Miller out? How's the defense doing trying to keep this team without, getting any points on the board? It's just like I think it's going to be one of those games where they're going to have to be consistent, way more consistent all the way through.
And what we haven't seen before AP be able to adjust in the second half.
Right.
Because the game is won in that fourth quarter.
And really, none of the recent coaches have been able to do that. Going all the way back to, I kind of lost track of how many coaches we've had. Certainly before Gruden. I don't think Gruden did it well.
Yeah.
It's just been like this ongoing trend that the Raiders can't figure it out.
And we saw it raise its ugly head against Kansas City.
Right.
And like I say, I think I'm going to go back to why he probably brought in Gase and Marvin Lewis and Tom Coughlin. It's like, hey, what am I missing here? And especially to bring in Adam Gase to work with Hardegree, who's calling the offense.
That's huge.
It is. And like I say, number one, I think Hardegree is starting way from behind because I am not a believer in the system that McDaniels, the offensive system McDaniels came in with. Like I say, I think it had the plug-in was an autonomous vehicle named Tom Brady, and that's the only reason why it worked. And short of that is, until you get a Tom Brady, it's not going to work.
Right.
And so I hopefully that is the conversation when we're putting in a game plan for this game and doing that. That was the first thing I thought about is, okay, now he's got someone with a very different perspective to come in and help Hardegree out as, looking at the cards that he's dealt. And so hopefully we'll see that, like I say, because we were seeing some of that the first 3 games in AP. And then, like I say, And when we played Kansas City, it seemed to go the other way in the second half. So hopefully we won't see that type of collapse or just being flat in the second half when you need to ball out, you need to do stuff, keep the momentum and put points on the board continually and not just, stall. So hopefully we'll see that with the offense.
Let's talk one little other factor here. The Raiders are playing at home today. It's notoriously the Raiders have not had a home field advantage at home. I think that could change today. I'm not so sure that the Vikings crowd will be as heavy. There'll be as much representation as some of the other games. And you think that the Raiders fans can actually step up, be loud, make a difference, and provide these guys with that atmosphere that they can thrive off of and feed off of to help them excel in today's game?
Well, I've heard from a few people who are there, just not heard from them. At least I saw some of their posts quickly, that there are a lot of Viking fans there. At least it appears to be right now. And a lot of times, if you see that right now, that is the tail of the tape because more start coming at game time. So, working on that home field advantage to be able to have fan-affected plays, man, I think the Raiders have a lot of work for that, to be honest. I don't know if we will see that today. I wouldn't even count on it.
Okay.
Just because of that, what have you seen at best? 60-40, maybe? I mean, what do you recall from being there as the best Raider presence we've had? Has it been 60%, 70%, maybe?
No, I've never seen. The best media I've seen. I've never the games that I've attended, because it's hard to tell on TV. The way they broadcast can be hard to tell. So I'll just speak of from when I'm there. From when I'm there, I have never seen it in the Raiders' favor more than 50-50. And usually the Raiders are less.
And see, it's hard to have.
And for some of these games, I think it's gotten up to like 75-25, the opposing team. But I don't think I've ever seen the Raiders have a dominant presence, meaning over 50% from the games I've attended.
And it's hard. I mean, even at 50-50, it's hard to have a fan, for us to affect the game, because if it's 50-50, it's just noise. It's noise all the time. Right. Half of the crowd is rooting on their defense while we're rooting on our defense. So it's just noise.
Well, and actually, I don't want to pick on this too much, but it might actually be, in that case, when it is 50-50, it might be louder when it should be quieter, because quite honestly, the fans that are attending a lot of times don't understand when to be quiet and when to make noise. So
you just have constant noise. That's what I'm saying. Just both teams are playing under the same constant noise, so it doesn't help one or the other. That's what I was saying. We need more than 50% to actually help our team, because, if we have 60 or 70%, we'll, for the most part, like you say, there are some fans who are new and still don't get it when our offense is on to be quiet and then get loud when the defense is on. But it's hard to do that. At 50-50, you're really not. I'm going to say, even like I said, I would say we probably won't be able to do that. And, we're a little ways off of that. I do think we'll get there. I'm still very optimistic that once the newness goes away, ticket prices, I just think a lot of things are going to come into factor, and we'll get some. You're still going to have some games that get dominated by opposing teams' fans because it's Vegas. But if we can get the majority, with Raider majority, then we'll be all right.
All right, everyone. Ana Diaz, thanks for joining us. We are going to go out early today because we are all prepping to watch, hopefully, this victory today, because it is a win out and go home situation. So that is our drinking game today, and you played with us. Thanks for joining us. All right, hopefully the next time we see y'all, we will be celebrating a victory. Definitely. All right, Raider Nation, we go out one way and only one way. Raiders! get that